Hey everyone, it's Tyler back with another video. Today we're breaking down how to run a good 400-meter dash, what the key elements of the race are, and what you can do to train for it throughout the season. The first thing I want to do is break down some of the key elements of the race. The most important thing is that the 400-meter dash is still a sprint, especially at the highest level, and so you need to have a very good max speed. The reason for this is that every other trait we're going to talk about at some point hinges on your max speed. Yes, things like speed and special endurance are really important and we'll talk about those. But at the end of the day, if your max speed is 12 miles an hour and mine is 24 miles an hour, if you run the entire race at 100%, which is not possible, and I run the entire race at 51%, barely over half, I will beat you. You're going to spend a lot of the race near your max speed or trying to be as close as possible to your max speed. And because of that, your max speed is a really important factor that you need to train consistently. And so I've put out a video already on max speed. I'm not gonna belittle it here, but it is really important that you're training that. In addition to your max speed, there are a lot of secondary endurance-based characteristics that really matter. Speed endurance and special endurance. Speed endurance is how long you can maintain your max speed, and special endurance is usually that 150 to 300 meter mark where you're not quite at max speed, but you're trying to maintain 95%-ish of your max speed for as long as possible. In addition to these endurance and speed-based qualities, you also want to be able to have the lactate tolerance in order to finish the race. All lactate tolerance is the ability of your muscles to keep working in the presence of hydrogen ions. When you run at max or near max speeds for 30, 40 seconds, around there, your body is going to develop a lot of lactate. It can't clear it out as fast as it's producing it. Lactate in itself is not a bad thing, but when your body produces a lot of lactate and doesn't clear it out, it also comes along with hydrogen ions. When you have too many hydrogen ions in your muscle, if you're untrained and not used to that level of hydrogen in your blood, basically, your muscles lock up, and that's when you kind of get that cramping feeling going down the 400-meter stretch. That's a result of a low lactate tolerance. So what we want to think is that our most general qualities that other things rely on, we want to train first. So things like max speed and acceleration, heavy strength work, maybe repeat sprint ability and developing our aerobic base. Those are good things to do in the off season because they take a long time to train, and your other qualities like speed endurance rely on your max speed. So now that we know what we're trying to train, we want to think about the best way to structure our program. So what this might look like is your first 3 months of the season, September, October, November, you want to do those things early in the off season when you have a lot of time to devote to them. You're not competing. You don't need to be ready to compete. And then closer to competition, you want to add in your more specific workouts like special endurance and lactate tolerance. Because you need your nervous system and all of your energy systems to be ready to go again, special endurance workouts tend to have really long rest times, like 20, even 30 minutes sometimes. So these are really long, specific, and intense workouts designed for the end of the season. They'll get you in really great shape, but they only reveal the shape that you're in compared to what you've built in the off season. If you haven't worked on your max speed, you might reach a really high peak when you start adding in special endurance, but you'll plateau very quickly if you don't have a high level of max speed and acceleration. That's why many teams do a periodized approach where they train very general qualities. Early on in the season, you'll be doing a lot of hill sprints, a lot of max speed, and you'll kind of look at these things like, this isn't that close to my race, and that's okay. These set up later training dates. Early in the season, you're gonna prioritize max speed, prioritize strength, prioritize plyometrics. Late in the season, you might still do those things, but they might be held at more of a maintenance. You might only do max speed 1 day a week. You might only do enough plyometrics. You might barely do enough strength work to keep up a good level of strength, but you're not gonna be pushing for PRs, in May, April, June. Those are the times when you're really focused on your speed endurance and lactate tolerance workouts. And for special endurance workouts and lactate tolerance workouts, these are your really specific events. These are 200 to 300 meters or broken 400s where you're running 250, take a break for 30 seconds and finish out the rest of the 400. These are really specific workouts designed to target very specific traits. And that's a good thing for late in the season, but if you do them too early, you will hit a plateau because if you don't prioritize things like your max velocity, acceleration, and having a good foundation of athleticism, you might add in these special endurance and lactate tolerance workouts, and you might improve very quickly because you're ready for the demands of the event. But the traits that hold you back, like top speed, all of a sudden put a limit on how fast you can go. And now you've plateaued at the worst possible time in the season. It's really too late to make a huge improvement in max speed in season. That's why I recommend making that the priority of your off season. And really quickly to finish up, I want to talk a little bit about race strategy. Some people really try to save energy for the end. I don't think that's possible. Whether you go out very hard for your first 10 steps or you go out very slow for your first 10 steps, once you run 250, 300 meters at your max speed or very near to your max speed, you're going to be hurting no matter what. So what every coach really tells their athletes, I think, is the first 5 steps are free. And what this means is you need to make an effort early in the race to get up to speed. You might not reach 100% of your max speed, but you should be at 90 to 95%. If your PR is a 23-second 200, you should probably be getting there around 24 and a half seconds, very close to that PR. And then you're gonna wanna hang on as best as you can, be aggressive around the curve. And once you get to the straightaway, that's when you need to push. There's 20 meters coming off of the curve that are essential. That is the critical zone of the race, and here's why. It is almost guaranteed that when you're going down that last straightaway, you're gonna be out of energy. So what you need to do is be going fast enough that all you need to do is just maintain your form and not slow down as much as possible. It shouldn't take as much energy to relax down the straightaway as it does to accelerate off the curve. So use that energy if you still have it, and then just do your best to hang on down that straightaway. As always, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like this video and want to see more. Check out my other videos and leave a comment if there's anything more you want to know.